Welcome to the Kickstart Your Coaching Edge podcast, where it's all about getting real around all things coaching.
And what we know for sure is that what got you here won't get you there.
You can't see the spinach in your own teeth.
And finally, hang on, because this one's really deep. Once you realize that you are the traffic, everything makes complete and unadulterated sense.
Hey, Kara, wasn't that an amazing call?
Fan-freaking-tastic. And Jen, why don't you tell everybody and let them in on a little secret about what was just so freaking fantastic?
Great. So I think now at this stage, it was about 2 weeks ago, we had our inner circle call. And our inner circle call is where a whole bunch of fabulous, smart, brilliant coaches come together. We have a theme of the month. We discuss the theme. We practice coaching around that theme. And then Karen and I do a demo around the theme. And obviously, we follow the same themes as these episodes of the podcast. So we were talking about self-actualization. And a gentleman's name came up a lot in the discussion, which is James Clear. And he is the author of Atomic Habits. And there's a lot of great quotes from him and a lot of interesting concepts. So when we were talking about self-actualization, which is basically the pursuit of meaning and fulfillment in your life, often affiliated with goal setting, is that James shares that a lot of times people focus on a result they want rather than who they are becoming. So, for example, they want to lose weight. They want to get straight A's. They want to finish a painting versus who is the person they are becoming and how do they start to create what he calls identity-based habits.
You know, Jen, I think that that's the important thing. And I know that we've talked about this before, right? It's not just sitting here and saying, okay, great, I want this. Let's check off the boxes to get that. Because what I feel like happens so often with that is it's like people just set themselves up for failure, right? It's kind of like the whole, right now at the gym, it's really crowded. Right? Why? Because everybody says, hey, it's January. I want to get healthy. And then what happens is they go to the gym and they think that by going to the gym that they're going to get healthy. And then what happens, right? By what's the next holiday? Just too blank. And by Valentine's Day, it's empty, right? Why? Because it's just something that they think they should do. It's not who they are becoming as they do it, unless their mindset shifts around that.
Yeah, it's like identity-based habits focuses on who we wish to become, not what we want to achieve. So when you think about all those gym joiners in January, say that 4 times fast. You don't need to.
I'm not going to.
Is oftentimes it's not even so much about getting healthy. I think a lot of times they go and they say, I want to lose 5 pounds.
That's a good point.
I want to decrease my body fat by X%. I want to, improve my cardio, I guess. But really thinking about it, it's about who is the person they actually want to become. What do they want their identity to be a part of? It's about believing in your potential of who you can become through identity-based habits. So example, when I said, people want to get straight A's, the goal isn't to get straight A's. The goal is to become a person who studies every day. Right? So it's not about, the goal isn't to finish a painting. The goal is to become an artist. So more of the identity of who you are. This way you can figure out what would an artist do, right? Well, they would finish paintings. They would paint. They would get out their stuff. They would practice every day, right? So then the goal is not about the specific achievement, but the goal is about becoming.
And you know what, Jen, I'm actually, now that you're saying this, it's, and we talked a little bit about this in the inner circle too. It's then what are the skills that you actually have to put in place to develop that habit to be that, right? So, and I was kind of kidding, right? So it's there's a skill, right? It's not just, just checking off a box skill, but there's a skill to saying no to dessert, right? Other people are eating their ice cream, they're eating their cake, they're eating whatever, but there's a skill. There's something that's attached in your head that you need to learn, that skill of being able to say no to that, right? It takes discipline. It takes perseverance. It takes more than just saying, all right, I'm not going to eat the cookie today, right? There's a skill and a mindset that is attached with that. If the quote unquote goal is to lose that 20 pounds, you need the skill of saying no to dessert.
Yeah, which is not an easy skill for a lot of people, right?
Very true. Yeah. And that's the same kind of thing. You want to get promoted at work, let's say. It's not just taking all those classes and doing all those things. It's the skill of, I need to get my ass in front of the computer, or I need to get my ass in the car and go to work to have that skill, like the skill of getting in front of the computer, the skill of getting in the car and going to work, even when, and especially when you don't feel like it.
Kara, it's funny because some of what we're sharing with everybody might even sound like a contradiction. So I want to help kind of break that down a little bit, right? So an example you just gave was about somebody who wants to get promoted at work, right? So that is something that they want, but then their mindset needs to be in place of the type of person who already is that. Right. So when you think about getting promoted at work, maybe it's, I am a person who is focused on my career. And then a step of that would be the mindset. We'll even use the skill set that you mentioned about, like saying no to dessert, right? It's the person is, I am a healthy person, and I have a skill set around managing desserts. So one of the things that's about going back and forth, there's still behaviors that we need to do in our habits, but it's how do we think about those behaviors actually contributing to who it is that we want to be. And I think you nailed it with the ways to get around and go, as Karen, you like to say, to go through versus getting around, but going through. What?
I said so through is
that when we look at the obstacle, we have to ask ourselves what's going to help us. And in the case you gave, it's about a skill set. So some of the things that we think we should be able to do naturally because they're part of the formula of success doesn't mean that we really have a lot of the background or the tried and true practice of even being able to know, how do you do that? How do you resist? How do you keep moving forward? So I think it's all very, very interesting. And it's really about, again, coming up with the identity-based habits to focus on who we wish to become, not what we want to achieve.
This reminds me too of, Jen, it's almost like when you think about it, it's like the goal is not to win, right? But the goal is to be the person who sticks to it, right? The goal is to become the person who practices every day. The goal is to be that person who's going to be invested in what it is that they're doing. And it makes me think a lot about, like, what is it that you can, like, you individually, like, this is that whole thing about intrinsic motivation, right? It has to come from you. Going back to self-actualization, right? Your ability and tendency to strive and grow, all that stuff. So it's what are the things that motivate you that are going to have you wanting to, be the essence of what that is to move you forward in your life.
Yeah, it's interesting. We'll end on this last quote from James Clear is every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. That's all we got.
And on that note, wrap it up.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Kickstart Your Coaching Edge podcast. Craving more in-depth discussions? Check out the Get Real Inner Circle with our no BS in-crowd of coaches.
Join live coaching discussions, breakdowns of coaching calls, and have some fun while you're at it.
You're going to want to go to kickstartyouredge.com/inner circle. It's time to get real.